Welcome, welcome to Three's Global Wellness Wednesday. I am super excited to host this event where you can expect some great knowledge from an interactive health and functional nutritional coach. Health testimonies from real people with real results. I'm your host, KASSY HAVEL. Um, I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for 25 years. I have spent 2 decades in modern medicine and the last 5 years in proactive wellness. I kind of fell into this space because my husband had a health crisis. Um, it started with just eating some bad chicken, and it, just kind of became this catastrophe where we spent a long time in the ICU and in the hospital, and then about 8 to 10 months in physical therapy and occupational therapy. What I realized that was so totally different than my normal nursing experiences, when you have a family member, it's you see things differently, right? So long story short, instead of his body attacking that bad chicken, it decided to attack his nervous system. And even 3 years after he was deemed recovered, we still struggled an awful lot with just him being the person that he was before he ate the bad chicken. And I remember sitting in a neurologist's office, and he just said, "You should just be thankful that your husband has recovered as well as he has." And, there's just something in your gut that says that's not enough. And there's no way that that's true. Even though I myself, as a nurse, have told patients that and patient family members that. So I started on this journey just looking into alternatives outside of modern healthcare, and it took me a really, really long time to find three. But when I did, and I realized that through all my studies on alternative medicine, the focus is more on the four things that the body struggles with, and that kind of leads to all the disease processes and all the actual symptoms that we experience. So malnutrition, toxicity, oxidation, and inflammation. Now, I'm not saying that when you jump on here, we're trying to treat or cure or diagnose any disease. We're not. What we're trying to do is feed the body what it needs so that it can do the job that it was designed to do. Okay. So that's what we did with my husband. We started feeding his body, the nutrition that it needed in order to of course, he had an injury that was never going to go away, but the body is pretty amazing. And when you feed it right, it can make up for that injury, and it can come up with other processes that, can make up for the injury that it experienced. And that's what we noticed, is that, he no longer sat on the couch and just kind of was dazed after he got home from work. Before he ate the bad chicken, he spent a lot of time outside, working in the yard and doing stuff around the house, and that had kind of stopped after. And then he started doing that again. We started having really in-depth conversations that we hadn't had in years because he was just so tired from just working all day. The body was just really taxed from that. So I love that realizing that what we put into our bodies can make such a difference. And I'm super excited to, bring my friend on. Her name is MARISA Mangiameli, and she is an integrative health and functional nutrition coach. Her and I have spent a lot of time talking about a lot of things, and I'm super excited that you guys are going to join us tonight. So MARISA, before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about what that means, being an integrative health and functional nutrition coach?
Hi, Cassie. Thanks for having me on tonight. And hi, everybody. Well, tonight to morning, afternoon, whatever it is where you are. So Cassie shared, I'm an integrative health and functional nutrition practitioner. I am also a board certified health and wellness coach. And what that looks like is partnering alongside of people and building puzzles. A lot of times, It's like somebody took the pre-made, like the puzzle that's already done, and put it in the box and shook it up, and then you're having to like find all the pieces, and sometimes there's missing pieces, right, on our wellness journey. And oftentimes people feel really disenfranchised because they know how they feel, but they don't always feel like that's being honored when they share it. So
Right.
I partner alongside of my clients and oftentimes also their medical care team, like their physicians and specialists, to really try to like dig deep and find those missing puzzle pieces and help them put that picture back together in a way that really is sustainable, that keeps it together for them, makes it cohesive. So that's really the best description, because really when I'm working with people, it's so individual. Everybody's story is really different. Their journey is really different. Their experience, their mindset, all the things, right? They're coming from so many different backgrounds and walks, both physically, emotionally, medically. But it's really about finding those pieces and helping partner with them to put them together so that they stick.
Gotcha. Well, since we're here talking about three and proactive wellness, tell us how three kind of, works into that, and why you decided that these proactive wellness products were, your solution.
If anyone's ever heard me talk about three in the products, they'll know that I'm like super excited and passionate about it. I love what we're doing here. Some of the things that were really big check marks for me that were in alignment with things I require for anything that I'm going to use for myself, you know, and recommend to somebody else, is our science backing. I mean, I love that we use whole food ingredients in all of our products, that there are no toxins, no binders, no fillers, that we do independent third party inspection for purity, quality, manufacturing process, the whole from sourcing through manufacturing to consumer. That's really, really, really important to me. I love that we go above and beyond those CGMP standards, and really like non-GMO. We test for heavy metals. We really go in depth with our ingredients to make sure that they are literally the purest, highest quality that we can get our hands on. And then we take that and put it together in a way that makes it highly absorbable, which is another big thing. I used to be pretty anti-supplement because, for two reasons, really. The supplement industry is kind of like the Wild West. It's very unregulated, and a lot of people don't realize that. And the second piece is also the absorption is kind of poor in most supplements. And that's not, that's kind of a known fact. And I always used to tread on, well, like, is it worth it? Are they going to get something out of it? How much are they going to have to take? Are we have to like, am I going to be, taking 20 bottles of stuff myself, or recommend? Like, I don't want to do that. So I love that we have these cohesive blends that work together, that use 11 different absorption technologies that really, really help improve the bioavailability at the cellular level. So those things really impact how people feel when they take them. And we hear that in the testimonials. We see that in the science. I love that we have, the clinical research backing stuff. The epigenetic study that we did, that was third party, and the cellular absorption study that we did, that was third party in our products, showing the absorption of all of our products at the cellular level, all these things. And then the kicker really is that all of our products are in the PDR. So, I
Yes.
mean, as a nurse, you're really familiar with what that is, but the prescriber's digital reference is for prescribers, for physicians, and anyone else who can prescribe a drug. It's mostly made up of pharmaceuticals. It's rare to have non-pharmaceuticals in it. And so for me, that was a really big deal, because it went one step beyond with the validation of, clinical backing. And also for me, it's fantastic because I work in that space where sometimes I'm working with the medical care teams, and it's really valuable for me to say, hey, I think this might be able to help. Can you take a look at it? It's in the PDR.
Right.
And the doctors are usually pretty shocked that they are.
I know,
To
I
find them
experienced
there.
that too. They're always shocked, and it's not just that it's one product; it's all six
All
products.
six.
And of
Yes.
course, if this is your first time tuning in, guys, and you don't even know what our products are, we're going to be discussing those a little bit more in depth later. But I love all of those things that kind of turned you onto three. You know what? There's one thing you didn't mention that I really love is the fact that we actually do a lot with exploration, like looking into plants that, you know, that haven't been studied for medicinal effects. I love that three isn't just interested in what we already know, but that they're continuing to spend financial things and time trying to
Yes.
figure out if there are things out there that, you know, God already gave us that we just need to know what they do. So I love that
Yeah.
too.
Well, I do too. And honestly, I said yes before that, before we were doing that. And when we launched, you know, our research center, and Dr. Dan's exploring, and that was just like icing on the cake. I mean, we were so a friend of mine and I were just so excited when they announced that stuff, because it is wonderful. I it's giving back to science, like, so it's going above and beyond what we're doing just with even within our own products. It's also giving back to science and research, which I think is so valuable in this space.
So when we talk about, you know, proactive wellness and we talk about the four things that pretty much you can, you know, see what happens to the body that kind of leads us to the symptoms that end up, you know, taking you to a physician where, you know, the symptoms match up with lab and x-rays and an exam. You know, when we're talking about malnutrition, toxicity, inflammation, and oxidation, when you're helping people the way that you do, how big of a role do you think the toxicity part plays in? Because I will tell you, when I'm you know, when people, you know, are talking to me about, you know, brain fog, they're talking about gut issues. You know, they're talking about post-COVID hair loss. They're talking to me about, you know, my brain is just not working the way that it used
Mhm.
to. I have all this weight gain. I have all these hormonal issues. I have, you know, adult onset acne. You know, you name it. They're coming at me with all of this stuff. And, you know, one thing that most people don't put in the forefront of their mind is what they expose their body to,
Yes.
right? Because
Yeah.
when I think about my husband and the fact that, you know, he ate some bad chicken, which was a biological toxin, right? And
Yep.
how the body responded, it didn't respond the way the body should. The body should have attacked the bad chicken and gone about its business, right? But
Yep.
instead, the body got confused and attack the nervous system instead. So tell me, in your role, you know, how does toxicity or being exposed to toxins, how does that, you know, work out?
I think it is a humongous factor. And it's normally one of the things that I start talking about when someone, like all those things you just shared, you know, hormonal imbalance, acne, brain fog, all of the things that really just make us not feel great, that affect our internal cycles. It all comes back to supporting your detoxifying system. I mean, the liver is one of those systems, you know, it's one component of the system. It's a big one though. I like would argue it's the workhorse of the body. And
Mhm.
so a lot of times people don't realize that the body really is a phenomenal detoxifying machine, right? But
Mhm.
in order for it to do that, it has to be provided with all the right tools. And I would I would challenge anybody to show me somebody giving it all those tools. And those tools look like sleep, good quality sleep, not just, you know, sleep, not taking a medicated sleep, not even a melatonin sleep, like good sleep, 7 to 9 hours a night. It's almost important actually when you get that sleep. There's studies starting to show that as well. And that's always been a thing in Chinese medicine the detoxing happening between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. at night. And so now there's some research looking into that piece of it, the sleep, hydration. So many people forget and actually don't even realize and know that hydration is not just water. It's not just walking around with like this all day filled with water, especially filtered water. Like hydration, like good quality hydration requires mineral balance in and out of the cells. And in order to have that, you actually have to have the minerals intaking into your body, whether it's through your skin or through your digestive system, right? And so that's a
Right.
huge missing piece with the hydration portion. We've got these people walking around with like 64 ounces of water all day. But if you're only drinking filtered water, you're actually flushing minerals and you're actually decreasing your hydration, and you're increasing your body's water retention. So there's so many misnomers there, right? So you've got the sleep piece, and then there's the nutrition piece. Like, you have to provide your body with the right nutrients and antioxidants. Antioxidants play a tremendous role in helping the body detox. So there's all these pieces that we need to provide ourselves to be able to remove the toxic burden. And then when you add on to that, we have internal exposure, right? So like, what happens when we're detoxing naturally is that the body is actually removing, chemicals, pesticides, plastics, heavy metals. Like, these are things that shouldn't be in our body that end up in our body. But it's also removing hormones. We have hormone buildup throughout the day, right? So and if we have a hormone imbalance, that can get exceeding and out of balance as well. And so there's so many things that have to be metabolized and removed. And so when they're not, it wreaks havoc on all of our systems. And that can look like inflammation. It could look like disease. It could look like autoimmune, cancer. I mean, there's so many things, right? And then it can also cause sleep disruption. So like, it becomes a bad cycle. Mm-hmm. So I love that we have solutions for that, in the sense that we have products that you can add into your routine. Like, I always emphasize sleep is so important. Sleep is probably one of the most important things you can do for yourself. And then the right nutrition and the hydration. And so we fill in that role where we can really improve the right nutrition by also providing some very powerful phytonutrients, like very powerful molecules that come from food that our body can use to actually bind to and remove those toxins. So like, you asked how I felt about toxins relation to illness and chronic illness and all the things that you listed on your list. And I'd say it's one of the top causes. It's a big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned all of those things, because most people think it's just I think the last study I read was like, you experience 70,000 toxins every single day. And, the body has a hard time keeping up with that. But in addition to that, if you're not feeding it the minerals that it needs, the nutrition that it needs, it just makes the body that much harder to be able to do the work that it was designed to do. I love that our Vitalite, which is, the nutritional gap filler, right? Yep. I love that it's simplistic. It's in a little package that you can throw in your purse, because again, taking supplements means you have to remember to take them. You just can't get the box and leave it sitting there, right? So I love that 3 has that, right? And when you talk about phytonutrients, I love that there is a form of some kind of phytonutrient that is almost in every single product that we have.
Yes.
Every single product. I love that. I love the simplicity of all of our products. So even though there are only 6, each product has about 10 to 15 different nutrients that really helps the body, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Not to say we don't have, the Purify, that is the detoxifier of all your 5 elimination systems, the liver that you talked about. I mean, oh my gosh, how many people have I talked to that, have unstable blood sugars, and they start taking the Purify and they're like, okay, my blood sugar seems to be better. Yeah, because your liver was in trouble, girl. It was working in overdrive to take care of all these things you've exposed yourself to. But it also does your lungs and your skin and your urinary system and then your GI system. I love that Purify does that.
Well, and you just listed all of the filtering system. Like, you just listed the 5 filtering systems. And it's, for me, sometimes, and I used to have this mindset too, where I'm like, I'm doing all the right things, but our bodies have not evolved to withstand the level of toxic exposure that we are exposed to. And I did pull some statistics, because I was like I'm a research nerd. And sometimes I dive down this hole and I get like stuck in it. I can spend like days in it. But like, so one of the things that, like PFAs, they're forever chemicals. So things like Teflon, if anybody hasn't seen, what is it, Dark Waters, like, go watch that movie. It'll teach you a little bit about chemicals that are still present every day, that we're exposed to. but something that it like ultimately everybody is exposed to, and even the CDC has shared that 97% of Americans basically have some level of PFAS in their body.
Right.
They are a known carcinogen.
Mm-hmm.
And there has not really been much research on a safe amount. It appears that there really isn't a safe amount. And so for me, it's just sharing that we have the natural burden, right? But then we've got this exponential burden that comes through our water, that comes through our food, that comes through our clothing. It's crazy actually what's in clothing. Like it's so crazy what's in clothing. My family thought I was crazy that when Emmy was born, I wanted to have all organic baby clothes for her. And I was like, no, you don't understand. There's like so many chemicals in clothing. And actually children, infants and in vitro, they have a much higher toxic burden than adults. So it affects them and impacts them significantly more. So it's really, really important to kind of learn about the exposures that we have to things. There was actually a lawsuit, and I'm not going to say the airline, but there was a major airline that had a lawsuit because of its uniforms. It was making its attendants sick. And when the lawsuit happened, they couldn't prove the connection, but then Harvard went and did a study and went deeper with it and made the connection between the chemicals in the clothing making people sick. And so we don't think about these things often, our beauty products, our clothing, the dyes, our foods, fragrances. There are actual chemicals that do not have to be labeled as per US labeling laws if they are in a fragrance. And so there's just so many things. And so I just like always want to share with people, it's something that you should take seriously. And there's
Oh,
so
yeah.
many ways to support yourself with it. And we've got some great ways here. But it's just such an important thing. It really is just such an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, I just think as a culture, we create this culture where, in America, it's different than other countries. Like there are really big limits in other countries about what their people can be exposed to, right? And America is a much more free with that. We tend to be more free with that, and we are also a culture that we work a lot more hours than most countries do. And so we've created a culture of ease, like the microwave, plastics,
Yep.
all that stuff that, again, we just expect for our body to just do magic, right? I mean, that's kind of what I've learned, once being in this proactive wellness space is we as Americans expect our bodies to just be magic. And we expect for the healthcare industry to be magic too, right? We want to
Yeah.
be able to expose ourselves and have the ease of everything. But what I've learned, and I learned it the hard way with my husband's illness, is that we do have to take ownership for what we're doing. And maybe we're not going to change our entire lifestyle. You and I have had this discussion before.
Yep.
You're a lot more crunchy than I am, right? We've had those discussions. I do my very best, but I know what has changed my family are these actual supplements addressing the minerals and nutrients that we were missing in our body that would be able to allow the body to work the way that it was intended, right?
Yes.
And a lot of
Absolutely.
people can't change their lifestyle 100%, So
No,
uh
that's an important piece that is an important piece. I mean, and that really is why I have a job and a
right.
profession. Do you know what I mean? It's meeting people where they're at and finding the tools that can achieve sustainability for them. And for every single person, those tools and activities and actions are very different, because
Exactly.
it does depend on your capacity. And a lot of times our starting point capacity is not as great as our end road capacity. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Exactly.
so that's what I love about what we have here too, is that it really can bridge the gap for people it really can help them support their body as they're on a journey to shift and change. You know what I mean? Shift their lifestyle. And I love that we have the ability to utilize that. I think it's really valuable to help people.
Yeah,
And
I
when you
agree.
come at it from the practice, like we're talking reactive, because both of us, I think, have been in the reactive wellness space a lot. I mean, that is a lot of what I do. But when you look at it from the proactive wellness end of it, like how amazing that you can support yourself with things you know are clean, you know, do not have any harmful toxins in them, and can get ahead of the game. Like to me,
Right.
I see so much value in that, and getting it into the hands of families, so that they don't have to end up maybe in that reactive space. And I would love that.
Yeah, me too. And I love that we are so blessed tonight to have three people on that are going to share their health journey with us. And I'm excited to bring Miss Amy Williams on. She is a nurse. No.
Amy Afzal.
Oh, no.
That's okay.
See,
You
I
said
knew I was
you're
going to mess this up.
That's okay. That I like the name Williams. I'll take it.
Amy, I don't see you on video. Is your
Oh,
video on?
here we are. Here I
There
am.
you
Okay.
are.
Okay. Now pronounce your last name for me again.
It's Afzal.
Afzal. Okay,
Afzal.
I am the world's worst at pronunciation of names. Just so that everybody out in the global world realizes that apparently as a nurse, you don't have to be able to be really great at pronunciation. So, and I,
read the longest
anyway, so
formulas, but I
so
am. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
go right ahead.
Okay. I am a PharmD, and I call myself a alternative pharmacist just because I'm that pharmacist that you come to and say you have a cold, and I'll say, "What are you eating?" Like, take more orange juice. That's what I tell them first. Then I'll recommend the supplements first, you know, like vitamin C, zinc, the D's, and then how did my journey with Marisa start? Oh, we were on the playground.
We were on the playground.
We were on the playground, and I think we were discussing childhood illnesses. My son, who's very preemie, he was at that time, he was 2.5 months early, so he was born with weak lungs, and so growing up, now he's in 8th grade. He's As soon as he gets exposed, it goes straight to his lungs. So he was fighting, I think, bronchitis at that time. And then on top of that, he had, so that turned into asthma, and he just couldn't get over it. So then Marisa was telling me about these little happy golden pills. I call it liquid gold. It's the Revive. I'm like obsessed with that supplement, I should say. So that's our go-to. It has turmeric in it. Marisa, you could tell them a little more. I think the other thing was the black seed oil, which I was telling you I was already taking, and that seemed to be working for me. But he didn't like the taste of it. And you mentioned how it's in there, and I'm like, done, sold. I am taking that. So now, just a couple of last week, quickest recovery time ever on a cold. He started off, he's like, Mom, I'm getting a cold. All right. Started giving him the Revive, started giving him the Immune.
Mm-hmm.
And within a day, no kidding, he will come over here and tell you right now that he's like, Mom, my cold is gone. I'm like, awesome. So I'm happy to say I am a believer. And even as a pharmacist, I'm recommending, these supplements to people, and I know where to, have who to contact for them to reach out to. So I might be the one logging on to her threes chain too.
Yes. Thanks,
I love
Amy.
that you're a pharmacist, and you talk to, the clients that come in, and you're, sharing a lot of stuff. What do you have to say about our advanced delivery technologies?
Oh my goodness. What don't I have to say? I think that the fact that you don't need to focus on what you're eating in order for it to get absorbed, because it's already kind of built into the whole way of how it's delivered into you. The whole vehicle is like, it's like a car that just goes. And you don't need to worry about if you're taking fatty food to get it absorbed into your system. It just does. And it's the quickest way. And that's why I feel like it worked so quickly on him. He's not a big eater. Enough said, like, it just worked.
Right. He's an 8th grader.
Yeah, exactly. He just runs around.
8th grader.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marisa, why don't you touch on why you think those 2 particular products really helped him and why you suggested them to her?
So again, you know, we can't treat, cure, diagnose anything.
Right.
But it's in my experience, personal experience. I grew up also a croupy child, you know, diagnosed asthma. And then when I went through my autoimmune journey and eliminated stuff that triggered inflammation, my asthma went away and my upper respiratory chronic illness stuff went away. So when you have bronchitis or any type of upper respiratory thing going on, there's a component of inflammation to the bronchial area, you know? And so I just thought, well, what does it hurt to lose? And we've honestly used it in our household to support that really, really, really well. Whenever there's that like inflammation in the chest area, and it's been helpful for our family. So I said, hey, I mean, this has been helpful for us. Why not try it for Anayat and see if it helps him too? And the immune is just such a powerhouse for supporting the immune system. And I love that it helped him so quickly. I know that Revive really has helped us quickly like that before. But the immune just has so many immune supporting ingredients in it, that proven immune supporting ingredients in it, that it just can really, like, anytime you support the immune system is a good thing, especially if you're having an illness or you're having a stressful encounter. You know, when you have stress, your immune system goes down. So I think that it's always a phenomenal add-on. And honestly, like, our whole family takes it because of kid germs. So
yeah,
I think when there's kids involved, it's always a good thing.
I always, as a pharmacist, I'm always recommending a like a good probiotic or prebiotic, because as your gut is actually your first line of defense, right? So when you have a strong gut, you got a strong body. So the immune actually has I forget what it was, maybe that something that helps to kind of strengthen all the good bacteria in it, so that you essentially don't have to take any probiotics because your own bacteria is doing what it needs to do. So I
love that the immune product has everything that epidemiologists and virologists recommend. You know, your vitamins A, C, D, and E, your quercetin, your selenium, your zinc, your elderberry, your silver. I mean, like, literally it's everything all in one. And again, it's about simplicity, because, you know, supplements only work if people actually take them.
Yep.
Right. And so I love that they jam-packed so many nutrients that kind of, you know, fit that, right? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Amy. We loved having you on. I'm super excited to bring my friend, Julie Reif, on. She is also a fellow nurse. Hey, Julie. I'm so excited for you to share your health journey. It's still fairly new, so I'm super excited to hear about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little baby in this, but my eyes are wide open, and I've learned already so much just from this little bit that we've been on here. Every time we talk about it, and every time I'm looking at stuff, I'm more and more amazed about the quality of the products and how many important products are in each supplement. I mean, the exact ones that need to be in there. It's like perfect. So anyways, my name's Julie. I live south of Kansas City in a little town called Paola. We live in the country. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for about 24 years. I got 3 kids. 2 girls are 22 and 21, and then my son's 15. I was a bedside nurse till 2022. So I was in the ICU during COVID, and that was pretty much the death of me. as a bedside nurse. You know, burnout, I think, starts from day one, really, unless you know about it and can do something different about it. But it really smacked me into the wall there at the end of COVID. You know, I think if you were to do a head to toe assessment on me, every system was wreaking havoc, you know. I mean, I was broken. I've done a lot of work on my mental health, a lot of healing. You know, but you can heal your mind and soul, but you also have to heal your body, because that's your meat sack that's carrying you around, you know. So you want that to be good. It was all of it. I wasn't sleeping well. That's been an issue for me. I worked actually about 20 of those years, I worked night shift. So just being up at night is opposite of what you're supposed to do. And you know, you make yourself do these incredible things. Like you were saying, you know, your body has a natural way and then it has the unnatural way. And I think I was living unnaturally for a long, long time. And you know, it just showed in every part of my body. My gut was probably the worst for me. Just could never lose weight. You know, I would go up and down and up and down. Of course, I was probably at my heaviest during COVID. I think stress, mostly cortisol, just being on guard, you know, for the whole 12 hours. And then, you know, you're home sleeping and then you're right back at it. And I think that had a lot to do with it, and all the inflammation and, you know, all the processes that go on when your body is stressed physically and mentally. So I was just bloated all the time, hungry all the time. I wasn't having regular bowel movements. I mean, I was either super constipated or, you know, I'd take something over the counter and then it would be, you know, waterworks. And it, 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 I just wasn't well. I just didn't feel well or healthy in my body. And my skin kind of looked at dry, super dry. You know, the bags, and you think, oh, you know, I'm 50, I turned 50 in July, and, you know, you're just getting older and you get wrinkles and, you know, your chin sags and, you know, your eyes aren't as glistening and you know, all of those things. And so I knew as a nurse that, you know, they tell you what you put in your body, you know, food fuels your body. But I'm kind of picky with foods. I don't like it. I don't like a lot of foods. I don't really even like to cook. My son cooks actually, which is interesting. But so I was a lot of fast food, eating in the cafeteria, whatever you could grab, you know, if you could eat even. And so I knew I was probably very, very deficient in a lot of nutrients, but you know, and I kind of knew that little secret about supplements. It's kind of like, I mean, you can buy them, but it's just, you're kind of just wasting your money. I mean, you know, nothing's really that absorbable. And I don't know. I kind of felt the same way as Marissa did. Just I took some probiotics. Just I took things to try to make me feel better, not because I knew that they were good for me. And honestly, none of that was working. So when I came across three, just I think the first thing that stuck out with me is how many nurses are take this supplement and are selling it and believe in it, how many physicians believe in it, all the research that's done. That's huge for, you know, a nurse, because everything's evidence-based, and it has heavy weight when you're talking and you have something to back that up. So that was huge for me. I've only been taking him for just like almost a month, and I mean, within a couple of weeks, I noticed it. Maybe a week, my stomach, like, you know, when you get up in the morning, you think, oh, it's just going to be like nice and thin. Nah, I just always had, you know, the pregnant belly. That's gone. And I've lost about 10 pounds, which is weird. And I'm not really hungry. And so you know, I was listening to something, and so I'm sure Marissa probably knows, but you know, with the GPL-1 and the Ozempic shot and all that kind of that, and I did that for a while, and that really messed me up too. But it just all makes sense now. If your body is working correctly with the correct ingredients, the cake's going to come out and it's going to be beautiful and bouncy. And you're going to be able to frost it. It's just going to be amazing. And that's how I feel. I feel like my skin is brighter. I feel like my attitude is better. I feel I'm definitely sleeping better, getting up in the morning and just ready to go. And I think, you know, when you know that you're doing something healthy for you and you're taking care of your body that your soul resides in here, it does something to you mentally, and it really gives you the satisfaction that it's just satisfaction, and you can just feel very good about yourself, and give yourself a nice pat on the back for doing something good for yourself. So I'm very glad to be here, and I just can't wait for all of it. So thank you for having me.
I love that. I love that what you described was just a difference and change in the quality of your life, which, you can't really put a value on. It starts changing every aspect of your life, right? Marisa, why don't you shed a little bit of light of because you take all the products, right?
I do. Like, I go big or go home. That's just how I am. And so I thought, well, I just one. I'm not going to just do one. I just do all of it. So I did. I started with all 6 products, and I'm glad I did, actually. So
Yes.
Yeah. So Marisa, why don't you touch on why you think that she's kind of had this shift in the quality of how she experiences every day, let alone the morning? Because, how often do you hear people say, I my alarm goes off and I hit snooze, 10, 12 times. How many alarms do you have set because you just don't want to get up? And I love that that's totally different for her now.
Yes. So I feel like this totally is right in alignment with our talk tonight too, Kassy.
Yeah.
Because it's allowing me to touch on some things I didn't get to touch on when we were chatting, but I love that you shared your story. Thank you so much for it. And your story is so many people's story. Like, I think there's probably thousands, if not millions of people that share that similar story, especially if they were in healthcare. But coming back to the body and why I think you're having such a profound shift and feeling so much better in a month or less, it comes down to kind of like the start of the process, which is removing the toxins part. And your body, you talked about hanging on to weight. Well, when your body is in a state of toxic overload and you have a high toxic burden, you actually store toxins in fat cells. And so your filtering organs filter what they can, and especially the liver, it'll remove like whatever it thinks is the most dangerous from your body, and it sends the rest back out. And so it's this cycle of toxic burden, and then you're storing it in fat cells, which is actually why people who have a high toxic burden have a very hard time losing weight and decreasing their fat percentage. So I love that you shared that piece of it also. And then you shared you used to not have an easy time going to the bathroom. And I think that's crazily another piece of so many people's stories. And it's so normalized, but that's another sign that you're holding on to stuff, right? And that is a really important piece of removing toxins from your body, is that, like, we have 2 ways to excrete, really, or 3. I mean, if you include breathing out, right? So if you're not removing what's going in and what's being removed, then it's also backing up. And now you've got like digestive system back up, you've got filtering organ back up, you've got cellular dysfunction, hormonal dysfunction, add on the sleep distress. And so now you've got this cycle that just is feeding the bear. And so I love that you went all in on all the products, because I usually share with people, if when they're in a place like you're in, if you can do all of them, I recommend it, because you're just giving your body like so much goodness at once to reset. And so I love that you're feeling that. And with the energy and the GLP-1, like you mentioned, GLP-1, it's awesome, because we have these studies now, these epigenetic studies on 4 of our products, showing that some of them actually in the study, in vitro, showed an upregulation of GLP-1. And so you mentioned like Ozempic, and I think Wegovy is one of the others. And those are synthetic GLP-1s that people are injecting like directly, right? So we don't have anything to do with that. But when we're looking at the epigenetic pieces of it with our products, the study showed that it upregulated GLP-1 naturally in the body. And what's the benefit of that happening naturally is that all the other pieces are happening. When you're adding it into the body, you don't have the balance happening hormonally. So when you remove it, you're going to go back to where you were. But when it's happening naturally in the body, it's all the pieces, right? It's your insulin and blood sugar modulation. It's all the pieces working together so that you're improving those cycles that are out of whack. And so like each day there's more and more improvement. You're removing more toxin, you're improving cellular energy, which translates to energy, right? You're waking up feeling refreshed and having energy because you're sleeping better, and you're sleeping better because you're removing toxins, and you're removing things that are causing physical stress. And I think Kassy and I have talked about this before, where physical stress is the same physiologically as emotional stress. So like they all produce cortisol. And so when the body is stressed, no matter what's causing the stress, you're creating that chemical imbalance. So when you can remove some of the stress, some of that can quiet down. And then the more you do, the more imbalance it comes. And so it's all the big picture. And I love that you shared your whole picture, because we get to see all the pieces of it and how they work together, and how shifting something as simple, it's not easy. I don't want to say it's easy, but as simple as adding quality nutrients and supplements to your lifestyle allowed you to feel better, which I'm sure is allowing you to also live better, right? I mean, I don't want to be presumptuous, but it sounds like that's what's happening for you.
Yeah, for sure. It was a big piece because I've never been a good eater. I don't like a lot of weird vegetables and roots and weeds and stuff like that. So it's a big piece that I knew I needed. And I mean, you can do a lot of the mental work, and you get like, I don't work at the hospital anymore, and I don't have that stress, but the damage is done. Like
That's
I
right.
knew the damage was done, and I knew that I needed something. You couldn't just pick up from here and go. Like I needed repair, and I feel like I've been in a good repair phase. And so I can't wait till like month after month after month. I just think it's going to get better. So I'm so grateful.
That's so
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Julie.
Yeah, you're
Yes,
welcome.
thank you so much. And then finally, again, I got confused between the two. I gave Tina and Amy name. But this is actually Tina Williams. She is another fellow nurse that I'm super excited to have on, and I can't wait to hear a little bit of her health testimonial since she started on these supplements.
Okay, so it's kind of funny. I guess we're all nurses tonight. It's just a lot of us.
We're all in the healthcare industry for sure.
Yeah,
We had a
kind of funny.
pharmacist join us, and of course, MARISA is not quite a nurse, but she
Right.
functions in whole health, helping people every day. So yeah.
Awesome. So my story actually started, I would actually say 15 years ago. I had breast cancer and had many surgeries, chemotherapy, and the treatment left me wrecked. I really struggled to regain my health. And so my husband is a gastroenterologist, and we've always believed in the power of nutrition. We've always used supplements. We always thought we used the best supplements that were out there. But fast forward many years later, and I was still really struggling with gut issues. I had terrible gas that was uncontrollable, and nobody likes to be around people with gas. I had the opposite problem with Julie. If I was pooping 6 or 7 times a day, I had all kinds of indigestion, a bloated tummy. And it was very frustrating to my husband as a gastroenterologist that he would treat me, but the symptoms would always come back. So we were on this treadmill for years. And so when I started on the 3 products, I have to admit, I didn't even realize for like a couple of weeks. And then I was like, oh my gosh, my belly's flat. I don't have gas. I'm not running to the bathroom. And then I heard Dr. Dan speak and learned about the immune, what is in the immune, vitamin A, C, D, E, zinc, all of which I was taking during COVID, but I was using a synthetic supplement. And I still had all those symptoms. So it wasn't until I added the 3 that has the nano silver and the unique technology with quorum sensing in there that I really believe it completely healed my gut. and all my gut symptoms went away. But again, it took me a little while to realize it because I've been living with those symptoms for so long that it was just part of who I was, and then you add the Vitalite has prebiotics and probiotics and great stuff in it too. So I tell people, I always thought I was really healthy when I started on the supplements, and I wasn't so sure I would feel any different. So it was pretty impressive to me when I did have incredible results, and now my husband feels completely comfortable using our products for his patients for the same reason. And actually, one of my daughter's friends was over one day and was complaining of all the same symptoms I had had. And she said, I'm going to make an appointment to see your husband. And I said, well, I think I can help you first. And honest to God, same thing. 2 weeks later, she's like, I can't believe it. My symptoms are gone. So,
Oh,
so that's my story. I mean, we've always been very, we believe in the power of food and quality supplements, but that's the deal. Whole food, quality nutraceuticals. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it does make a world of difference when it actually gets down to the cellular level and your body can actually use it and, work the way it was intended to work and heal you. Like the body is healing itself, right?
right,
We're just providing the
right.
nutrient that gives the body the power that it already had, right? And especially with what all you went through with your treatment and everything, I can only imagine how your body was screaming at you going, okay, that was crazy. What all I went through. Now, what do we do? So, Marisa, why don't
yeah.
you, shed a little light on that, and why you
Yeah.
think these products have made such a big difference for her?
So Tina, thank you so much for coming on tonight. And I'm so glad that you shared, because again, I think that these are things like that Julie and Tina are experiencing that plague a lot of people. And when you have to run to the bathroom 6, 7 times a day, that is really impacting quality of life, both from a physical standpoint and from a mental, emotional, social standpoint, But I think I love that she touched on the immune, because going back to what Amy shared with the immune, there's the quorum sensing, and I'm not going to go into the science. We've got videos on it if anybody wants to check it out. But basically, there's a patented curation in the immune that's called quorum sensing. And what it does is it basically stops the bad bacteria. That's what Amy was talking about, from chatting, which gives good bacteria room to flourish. And when you've gone through things like chemo, radiation, those even antibiotics, right? Most antibiotics actually take 6 months to recover from with the right nutrient support. And most of us don't have that. So when you think about all these exposures we have that disrupt our immune system, including viruses and bacteria, it's like, I share that with people. I'm like, have you been sick recently? And they're like, oh yeah, I actually, had the flu or whatever 6 months ago. I'm like, that's probably what shifted your gut, and where you have to rebuild from. But when you get to turn off the bad bacteria communicating and replicating, the good bacteria can flourish, and you're supporting it, not just with the immune, but like bring in, like she shared, the vitality. And I think, Tina, you're taking all the products, right?
Absolutely. I take all
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So she's hitting it from all the places, right? You've got the incredible anti-inflammatory support, really helping the body have a natural inflammatory response with the Revive. You've got the detoxing piece of it with Purify and Eternal. We didn't get to touch on that tonight, but glutathione is a really wonderful detoxifier. So when you have those two together, it's like double whammy. And the nutrient support, she shared that she had a cancer journey, and anytime the body is in a healing state, it requires more nutrients. It has a higher nutrient need. And so when you think about the fact that most of us aren't actually fulfilling our average nutrient need without any type of disease or illness, and you add on something like cancer recovery, like it's in a severe state of nutrient need. And so she really, by adding everything in, was giving her body like so many missing pieces that it needed for it to be able to have that natural healing ability and to restore gut microbiome and restore gut health and restore that immune health piece of it, which I think is just wonderful. And I'm so glad that you shared on your story tonight, Tina. Thank you.
Well, this has been a really great Wellness Wednesday. I mean, we covered a whole lot of topics, but I love that what 3 does with proactive wellness, it does cover a lot of a lot of different things in a very simplistic way, right? So thank you guys, all of you, for coming in and sharing your testimonials. And thank you, all of you that tuned in tonight to just, kind of have a little talk with me and Marisa. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your week. See you guys later.
Bye, everyone.